43% of every action your body performed today was executed without your conscious permission. Your basal ganglia, a walnut-sized cluster buried deep beneath your cortex, ran those behaviors like pre-installed software. No decision, no deliberation, no awareness. A Duke University study confirmed it. Nearly half your daily life is neurological automation. You didn't choose to reach for your phone this morning. You didn't decide to bite that nail. The habit loop, cue, routine, reward fired before your prefrontal cortex even woke up. And here's what neuroscience journals are now confirming. Separate brain circuits control whether a habit forms and how intensely it grips you. Two different systems. One locks the behavior in. The other determines how hard it hits. But the most unsettling finding isn't how habits form. It's what happens when scientists tried to delete them. They couldn't. Your brain is an energy miser. It burns roughly 20 watts, less than a dim light bulb. And it will do anything to conserve that budget. That's where the basal ganglia comes in. This structure, older than language, older than logic, sits at the base of your forebrain and operates like an efficiency compiler. Every time you repeat a behavior, turning the key in the ignition, scrolling through your feed, reaching for a snack at 3 p.m., the basal ganglia watches. It records. And after enough repetitions, it takes over. A landmark study published in PNAS mapped exactly how circuits for habits are constructed and consolidated within the basal ganglia. The mechanism is called chunking. Your brain takes a complex sequence of motor actions, dozens of micro-decisions, and compresses them into a single automated unit. Think about driving home from work. The first time you drove that route, your prefrontal cortex, the conscious decision-making layer sitting right behind your forehead, was working overtime. Every turn was a deliberate choice. 6 months later, your basal ganglia runs the entire route while your conscious mind daydreams. The prefrontal cortex goes nearly silent. Brain imaging studies show it literally dimming as habits solidify. Anne Graybiel's lab at MIT spent decades documenting this handoff. Her team watched rats learn to navigate mazes, and the neural recordings told a devastating story. At first, the entire brain was active, exploring, deciding, correcting. But as the maze became familiar, activity collapsed into two sharp spikes, one at the beginning of the maze, one at the end, everything in between. Law automated, chunked. The rat wasn't thinking anymore. Its basal ganglia was running code. A Frontiers critical review of habit learning confirmed these mechanisms across species, validating that the basal ganglia doesn't just store habits, it enforces them. But here's where the architecture turns against you. That chunking system doesn't evaluate what it's compressing. It doesn't distinguish between the habit of brushing your teeth and the habit of doom scrolling until 2 a.m. Both get the same treatment. Both get the same neural superhighway. And once that highway is paved, there's a problem with that neural mapping. Because the chemical that built the road is the same one keeping you trapped on it. Dopamine. You've heard it called the pleasure chemical. That's wrong. Dopamine is a prediction chemical. It doesn't spike when you get the reward. It spikes when you anticipate the reward. This distinction is the engine of every habit you've ever formed. Northwestern University research directly investigated the role of dopamine circuits in habit formation, and what they found reframes everything you think you know about willpower. When you first eat that cookie after a stressful meeting, dopamine fires at the moment of taste, the reward itself. But after a few repetitions, something shifts. The dopamine spike migrates backward in time. It stops firing at the cookie. It starts firing at the sight of the break room, then at the thought of the break room, then at the feeling of stress itself. Your brain has learned to predict the reward before it arrives, and that prediction, that anticipatory dopamine surge, is what drives the craving, not the cookie. The anticipation of the cookie. This is called dopamine prediction error, and it's why willpower fails. Your prefrontal cortex, your rational mind, can decide, I won't eat the cookie. But your basal ganglia has already fired the dopamine signal. The craving is neurochemical. It's running on hardware your conscious software can't access. Published findings in the Journal of Neuroscience revealed something even more disturbing. Phasic dopamine activity in the dorsolateral striatum doesn't just trigger habitual behavior, it controls the intensity. The longer a habit runs, the harder it hits. The circuits don't just automate, they amplify. This is why a 2-year smoking habit feels categorically different from a 2-week one. The neural infrastructure has thickened. The synaptic pathways have strengthened through repetition. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, is working perfectly. It's just working against you. Wendy Wood's research at the University of Southern California confirmed that habitual behavior is context-dependent. Change someone's environment and their habits temporarily collapse. Move them back. The automation reactivates instantly. The MIT rats proved the same thing. Habit pathways reactivated the moment the old cue returned, even after months of dormancy. And then scientists found something that shouldn't have been possible. A Nature study used optogenetic stimulation, light pulses targeted at specific neurons, to manipulate striatal patches in the basal ganglia. They could turn habit formation on, they could turn it off, they could inhibit dopamine release in real time. Your brain isn't choosing habits. Circuits are being automated at a level beneath choice, beneath awareness, beneath your sense of self. Additional research using pallidal deep brain stimulation confirmed that directly activating basal ganglia subcircuits enhances habitual behavior, proving that circuit activity literally amplifies automation. MIT News reported that genetic changes are now linked to severe repetitive behaviors, revealing that habit automation isn't just about learning, it runs deeper, down into your DNA. So here's the loophole. You cannot delete a habit. Philippa Lally's research, the study everyone misquotes as 21 days, actually showed habit formation takes anywhere from 18 to 254 days, and the neural pathway, once formed, never fully disappears, but it can be overwritten. The golden rule of habit change. Keep the same cue, keep the same reward, replace the routine. Your basal ganglia doesn't care what behavior fills the middle of the loop. It cares about the cue-reward architecture. Smokers who replaced cigarettes with a 10-minute walk, using the same stress cue, the same social reward, showed successful habit substitution because they didn't fight the circuit, they hijacked it. A Washington Post report on the neuroscience framed it precisely. Understanding your brain's automation gives you leverage, not control, leverage. Because the system that caged you is the same system that can carry a new behavior on autopilot if you feed it the right loop. Implementation intentions. When I feel X, I will do Y, work because they preload a new routine into the same cue-triggered circuit. You're not fighting dopamine, you're redirecting it. You're writing new code into the compiler that was already running. But here's what no one tells you. Every environment you walk into is a cue. Every room, every person, every time of day. Your basal ganglia is scanning constantly, matching contexts to stored loops, firing sequences before your prefrontal cortex can intervene. You are living inside a machine that was built to automate you, and right now, this exact second, it's running a behavior you haven't noticed yet. What routine is your brain executing that you never approved? The automation doesn't pause. The loops are firing, and the circuit that controls how deeply they grip you is a system you've never consciously met. Next, we decode the neural protocol behind why your body resists the changes your mind already chose.